Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So, I'm here today to talk to you about Gargoyles Season 2, Episode 8, The Vows. The Vows is a very touching, emotional episode in Gargoyles. Gargoyles was one of the best Disney cartoon series of all time, next to probably that of say Aladdin. And what makes Gargoyles so great, it's just completely in a different ball lane. This thing was dark, it was serious, it had grittiness to it, it had stakes. This show was just amazing, and sadly got canceled because of all kind of craziness that went on behind the scenes and them not being able to compete with Batman the animated series. And I really need to talk about this show one day. I keep putting it on one day this year, probably hopefully next month or around April, so I want to really talk about this series because it deserves to be talked about. Because a lot of people still don't really know about this series, and a lot of other people forgot about it, and other people remember it to death. And so with the Vows, you see Xanatos and you see Goliath, they're battling at first, and Xanatos asks Goliath for a really odd favor. This was around the time Xanatos was starting to turn over a new leaf and be an ally to that of the Gargoyles. But it's slowly happening in this season. Xanatos is the Lex Luthor of the show. And so Xanatos tells him Demona is going to be there. Now, Xanatos is a person who always thinks 10 steps ahead. Goliath does not want to go there at first, but he does once he starts having flashbacks of when he kind of betrothed himself to Delilah many years ago. And Demona. Why do I keep saying Delilah for? Demona. Demona is probably the best villain I've ever seen in a cartoon series or even live action. She is demented in the head. She is all about that revenge. And so with this episode, it kind of makes you wonder, where is this kind of gonna go? I was not expecting all the craziness to happen and stuff. So Xanatos' father shows up, and Xanatos' father really doesn't like him. Xanatos' father was a hard-working man who earned his money. His father's not sure how he made his fortune and everything, but he knows it has to do with a coin he received in the mail. And so when they do the vows, he wants them to bring these talisman that Goliath betrothed to that of Demona back in the day. He split it in half. They put the two halves together. Now, us viewers have no idea what this is yet. Demona knows and Xanatos knows. It is the Phoenix Gate. The Phoenix Gate has the ability to travel through time, well, space and time. And so, they use this to go back to the year of, what is it, 925 or something like that. And so, back in the old days, Scotland and stuff, right? And so the Phoenix Gate, you can actually get off eBay. Somebody makes it, but it's really small and stuff. And so, of course, Xanatos knew all along what this thing would do, and he needed it to go back in time. Goliath is just like a pawn in everything, right? But this sets events into motion. So Xanatos' father decides he's going to tag along because he's tired of his son's craziness. Oh, by the way, Xanatos is going to get married to that Silver Fox. She's out of prison and all this other stuff. So, while back in time, Demona decides she's going to take the Phoenix Gate and travel to a different part in that same location just a couple of seconds or minutes later. Goliath follows and everything. So while Xanatos, Silver Fox, and the father are there, they see like the princess getting attacked by a bunch of rogue bandits. They fight them off, and then they realize that Xanatos has a pendant on him, the Illuminati. So they decide to befriend them. And basically, the king is overwhelmed that his princess is like his daughter is saved, so he gives Xanatos a couple of coins. Xanatos takes one of the coins and gives it to a nobleman, and with very specific instructions to deliver it to America. In 1975, this is the coin that Xanatos got that gave him his fortune. See, back in the day, it's a worthless penny, but in the future, it's worth bazillions and billions and billions and billions of dollars and stuff. So his father realizes, like, this is how he made his millions and stuff. And Xanatos is all like, I'm a self-made man and everything. But his father's just not buying it. His father could care less and just, disappointed in his son. But you gotta admit, that's like very clever. And so with like Demona and stuff, she goes and finds her younger self. And she goes and talks to her younger self and tells her don't listen to your younger Goliath, he's a fool and blah 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 blah, and she's gonna prove him right. And so she goes further into the future, about 20 years, when their entire clan was destroyed and killed by the humans, something she helped put in motion because she wanted the castle. But she had no idea the Vikings were going to betray her and kill all the rest of the gargoyles, except for like 6 or 7 of them. And so Goliath, he sees Hudson back in the day. Now Hudson is animated wrong. He has the scar on his face. He's not supposed to have that yet. And he tells him that, because Hudson is the leader and he's suspicious. And Goliath just tells him, look, man, I'm a traveler and I just need you to do me a huge favor. Keep my younger self, at bay. And so he doesn't see all this. And so that's what he does. And so, after they go back into the past, because see, the thing is, young Demona is supposed to steal the Phoenix Gate for the Archmaid and everything. The Archmaid is a very villainous person. So, older Demona, she's really trying to dig into her younger self. Do not trust humans. They will, betray you and everything. Goliath is trying to persuade or counterbalance what the older Demona is saying, talking about how you did all this and blah 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 blah, and so they all fighting this and that. And the younger one is just so confused because she's not really sure what the world is going on. And the Archmaid, of course, wants the Phoenix Gate, but anyway, a big battle happens. He's not able to get it, so the Archmaid's just gonna blame everything on Xanatos and stuff like that. And so younger Demona realizes her older self is just nuts and everything. So after she gets the drop on her and everything, Goliath takes everybody back to where Xanatos and them are all at. And he tells her that once he loved a woman and he made her a vow, and this woman broke his heart. And he tells her, don't turn into your older self. Remember the vows that that my younger self gave you and stuff. So they all head back to the present. We see the younger Goliath, he talks to the younger Demona and this and that. When they're back into the future, Demona wakes up And so Goliath was hoping to change the events of future by persuading the young Demona not to follow in the same course as the older one. However, Demona is just as pissy as ever, talking about she remembers the advice that Goliath gave her younger self, and it did no good because their clan is still dead, and she still hates them. So all this stuff happened in the past. Even older Demona knew all this was gonna happen and stuff. And it's funny how everything comes full circle in like a loop. And so he knows there's no persuading her to turn good, because deep down in his heart, even though he is now falling in love with Elisa the human, which is gross because that's bestiality, he still holds like a spot in his heart for Demona. That was his first love and everything. And it really pains him to know that he cannot have her and stuff, and know that she is evil and wants to destroy everything that he tries to protect. And so with Xanatos and his father's about to part ways, but then he gives him an American penny. And Xanatos is kind of like, well, what is this for? And he's all like, well, it's worthless now, but who knows, In a couple of 100,000 something years, it'll be worth a fortune and everything. And so Xanatos is kind of smitten by this and everything. And so I gotta say, for a Valentine's Day episode, this was like a really cool, very touching thing. It's really sad knowing that Goliath and Demona will never ever be together. Now, I don't know what's going on in the comics right now, so I can't really say, but needless to say, these two do not get back together. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.